Hello friends, you all are welcome. This video belongs to the subject of education, specifically for the course of B.Ed or Bachelor's in Education, where the paper of Child Development and Learning is taught. This particular module is on the topic Role of Curiosity, Interest, Active Engagement and Inquiry in Learning. And this particular lecture is going to focus on the centrality of curiosity, interest, active engagement and inquiry in learning at all levels. The course coordinator as well as the reviewer of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. And the subject matter expert of this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This particular video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha channel, which is a project of MHRD New Delhi. So let us welcome Professor Jasim Ahmed.
Hello, dear learners. I am Professor Jasim Ahmed from IASC Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today, I am going to cover the topic the centrality of curiosity, interest, active engagement, and inquiry in learning at all levels of education. And the objectives of today's discussion are to cover the meaning of curiosity, the concept of curiosity, interest and inquiry, to describe the effect of curiosity, interest and inquiry on learning of the children. We will also cover the importance of active engagement of learners in teaching learning process, which we all know that active engagement on the part of the learners are very essential for effective learning on the part of the children. We will also discuss how these variables, that is curiosity, interest, inquiry, and active engagement can be taken up by the teachers. We will also discuss how curiosity, interest, and inquiry may be nurtured among the students by our teachers. So, friends, let us first talk about curiosity. We all know about curiosity. Curiosity, in a layman's language, is nothing but our, inclination, our desire to know something, to learn something, to get some information. And in the process, basically what we see, as a teacher, we focus and bother for students unquestioning mind. We generally think that students are not asking question in the classroom. We generally talk among our teaching community that the students are very passive, they do not ask questions. So we are more concerned about students non-questioning behavior in the classroom, but don't focus on raising their curiosity, where we should have our focus. If curiosity is raised, the issue of no questioning of students will be automatically solved. Because of this fact, Albert Einstein once said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. So if you succeed in developing the curiosity among the learners, they will automatically ask so many questions in the classroom to learn new things for their growth and development. So now let us see what basically curiosity is, how curiosity can be developed, and what is the biological or medical science say about curiosity, how curiosity is involved in the process of learning. A neurological study has shown that curiosity makes our brains more receptive for learning. Curiosity makes learning more effective and enjoyable. Curiosity or curious students not only ask questions but also actively seek out the answers for what they are searching for. Research has even shown that curiosity is just as important as intelligence in determining how well students perform. Researchers from the University of California, Davis, conducted a series of experiments to discover what exactly goes on in the brain when our curiosity is aroused. The researchers developed a sample of more than 100 trivial questions such as what does the term dinosaur actually mean? What does the meteorite mean? Uh, what uh, uh, what will happen if water gets disappears from the earth? What will happen if sun goes down, or sun is sun is extinguished or sun stops giving us light energy, what will happen? So these were certain questions in that particular research. The participants' thought process were studied throughout the study using fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging techniques. Attempt was made to see what was happening in the brain when participants felt particularly curious about the answer to a particular question. The researchers found that when the participants' curiosity had been sparked, there was not only increased activity in the hippocampus, which is the region of the brain involved in the creation of memories, but also in the brain circuit that is related to reward and pleasure. This circuit is the same one that lights up when we get something we really like, such as toffee, chocolate, candy, or money, or anything else that you like. And it relies on dopamine, a feel good chemical that relays messages between neurons and gives us a sort of high. Based on this finding, it was concluded that number one, curiosity prepares the brain for learning. Then, the curiosity makes subsequent learning more rewarding. It rises the level of retention, means when the learners are curious, their power of retention of new information, new knowledge, whatever they have learned, will be for longer duration of time, and it will go into their long-term memory. Curiosity also rises natural motivation towards learning. And the last thing which was given as a finding of this study, that curiosity instigate asking the right question. So curious students ask questions, engage more fully in learning, and actively seek answers and solutions. They found that curiosity influences academic performance. Hard work combined with curiosity had as big an effect on performance as intelligence. So now, friends, come to the next subtopic of this, lecture, that is interest. The engagement which entertain you, make you happy, feel you energized, and gives you pleasure basically indicates that you are interested in that particular task, that particular job, and that particular sort of learning. Interest is a psychological state of attention towards a particular object or topic, and also the enduring predisposition to re-engage over time on the same task. Interest is a powerful motivational process that energizes learning and guides academic and career trajectories. Interest is therefore both a psychological state characterized by increased attention, effort, and affect experienced in a particular moment, as well as an enduring predisposition to re engage with a particular object or topic over time. Situational interest combines affective qualities such as feeling of enjoyment and excitement, and cognitive qualities such as focused attention and perceived value, all fostered by features of the situation. That is, I mean to say that interest may be situational in nature. But when certain students or certain group of students are put in a particular situation, when the interests are raised because of the situation, and if in a particular type of situation certain students are certain student interests are raised, and if you provide the same kind of situation many a times to those learners, a time will come when the situational interest will be converted into their individual interest. And this is basically a strategy adopted by the teachers to increase or enhance interest of students in a particular course of study. So situational interest basically we were talking about. So for example, a student might enjoy an entertaining lecture about cyclones or any topic you can imagine, and become fascinated by its power, engage more in the class, and appreciate the subject's personal relevance. Thus, being in a state of interest means that affective reactions, perceived value, and cognitive functioning intertwine, and that attention and learning feel effortless on the part of the learners. Situational interest relates to self regulation, task engagement, and persistence. So, interest, therefore, predicts traditional measures of educational success, including future course taking and performance. Individual interest highlights individuals' stable preferences for specific content. Here, the immediate experience of interest reflects a well developed personal preference to enjoy and value a particular subject or activity across situations. Individual interest is therefore a stable underlying disposition activated in particular situations. For example, students interested in disaster management might be especially likely to be in a state of interest during the lecture on cyclone, which we discussed earlier, whether the lecture is entertaining or not, because their interest is more developed and less dependent on situational factors. Now, let us discuss about the four-phase model of interest development, which can be used by all of us as a teachers for our students in the classroom. So, in there are these are the four phases through which we can develop the interest of our learners. So, let us see phase-wise what we should do at every phase of the this model of interest development. So, phase one tells that in phase one, creating a particular situation is required. So teachers are supposed to create a particular situation, create a particular environment, which should have some certain sort of novelty, some sort of ambiguity in the environment, and some sort of surprise also for the learners in the environment, so that the attention of the learners maybe drawn, maybe catch, and the students in the classroom and the person sitting in the classroom, when you attract the attention, they will be diverted towards learning new things and whatever you are going to discuss in the class, and in this process their interest will be triggered. So this is basically first stage of phase model, and the first phase is basically directed toward situational interest. So by creating a particular sort of environment, by creating a challenging situation, by creating a novel situation, by creating a surprising situation and environment, by creating an ambiguous environment in the classroom, now you have drawn the attention of the learners, and you have drawn and developed, raised some level of interest of the learners in the classroom, and this is basically situational interest. Now what you will have to do at second phase. So in second phase, extend situational interest which you have developed at phase one in this phase. So extending situational interest beyond a single situation is the second phase. So whatever interest you have developed in phase one, now in phase two, you have to change the situation. You have to change new sort of environment. You have to create new type of environment wherein students maybe student interest may be raised again, by making the task meaningful and involving to the learners. That is, if the students perceives the task as valuable or enjoyable, they will be again interested in the classroom, and in this way your situational interest which was created in phase one, now it is extending in the second phase, that is phase two. Now at phase 3, emerging individual interest. That is, at phase 3, individual interest emerges. If you are successful in phase 1, if you are able to extend phase 1 situational interest to phase 2, then there is a more ample opportunity and there is ample chance that at phase 3, students will be able to develop their individual interest over time. So, repeated experiences of triggered and maintained situational interest at phase 1 and phase 2 can develop into an emerging individual interest, such that the individual seeks opportunities to re-engage with the object or with any sort of matter or subject matter or content you are teaching in the classroom. So this was phase 3 of interest development model. Now come to the phase 4. So self-sustaining, well-developed individual interest with the help of phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And now you are at phase 4. So the now self-sustaining, well-developed individual interest at phase 4 advocates that you have to compel learners to find such type of content and activity to engage themselves for fun and pleasure and new learning. They will automatically try to find out, try to search out those type of content in which they were interested as phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So friends, now try to understand the implications of interest development model for the teachers, for the teaching learning process in the school setup. So first of all, the first point under this implication may be the model contains that interest develops gradually, and that external support, that is engaging lectures, school field trips, educational excursions, etc., can foster interest among the learners. This also implies that without external support, interest can go dormant or even be abandoned by the learners. Next is the model indicates that students at different stages of interest development, that is at phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3 or phase 4, may benefit from different types of external support. When students are unfamiliar with the topic, teachers may be able to create environment that catch their attention. For example, by beginning a chemistry class with a demonstration of a chemical reaction, you can do that. Now come to the implication number 3. When students enter a situation with some pre-existing interest, however, teachers may be able to maintain those interests with interventions to expand their knowledge of the topic and solidify its perceived value. Number 4, thus you will find that the teachers can stimulate students developing new interest in the first two phases, triggered and maintain situational interest, and maintain or strengthen interest for students in the second two phase, that is phase 3 and phase 4, emerging and well-developed individual interest. In so doing, teachers can foster students' motivation and achievement both at the same time. Now, the third subtopic of today's lecture is active engagement. We all know that uh, this curiosity will automatically bring students towards the active engagement in the classroom. If the students are interested, they will automatically come to be actively involved in the process of teaching and learning in the classroom. After all, active engagement is the most important factor in the learning of the students in the classroom or wherever they want to learn something. And for this active engagement, putting learners into active engagement requires so many variables to be worked upon by the teachers, and these are basically curiosity, these are interest, these are developing inquiry of the learner. So if students are curious, if students are having the inclination towards knowing something new, if they are interested, they will be automatically activated to learn and they will be involved in the process of learning. But anyway, the teachers are required to engage all the learners in the classroom, and teachers are required to rise and their curiosity. Teachers are required to raise the level of their interest and raise the level of their involvement in the classroom. Only then learning can take place. So learning, because learning is an active process. Active process means use of maximum possible senses through processes and full devotion in learning, that is curiosity and interest. This can be possible. So constructivist 5 is strategy also talks about engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. So these are the five constructivist 5 is strategy of learning in the classroom. So if students are engaged completely in the classroom and they are put to explore something new, they are given the opportunity to explain and they are given the chance to explore on their own. In these process, they will be automatically actively engaged, and this will rise the level of their learning and achievement in the classroom processes. Now, the fourth subtopic of today's discussion is inquiry, which is one of the most important as well. And as we all know that inquiry is nothing but putting the learners in the situation of researcher, inquirer, knowledge seeker, and using their potentialities in the construction or creation of their own knowledge. This is basically inquiry. Advantages of inquiry-based learning is, are manifold. Some of the very important advantages are listed here. Inquiry prepares the brain for learning. Inquiry cultivates skills for all areas of learning among the children. It also depends understanding on the level of the learners. It also creates ownership on the knowledge created. This is very important point. So if some learners, if some children develop some knowledge, develop some understanding on the basis of their own inquiry, their personal inquiry, through questioning to the teacher, to the seniors. So whatever they learn in this way, whatever they create, whatever they learn through inquiry, they have the thinking that that particular content is being developed by themselves, and that's why a kind of ownership is developed in the mind of the learner, which is very important for present learning as well as for future learning of the learners. So inquiry also promotes engagement. The more they develop inquiry in themselves, the more they are engaged in the process of learning in the classroom as well as out of the classroom. Inquiry also enhances learning and achievement as a whole. It also creates love towards learning new things, because inquiry, if successful inquiry, it automatically draw learners towards more knowledge, seeking process. So basically, it creates a love towards towards learning new things on the part of the learners, and it works across classroom settings also. It must be taken into consideration that inquiry is useful, and inquiry is needed, inquiry is required not only in the classroom or a school setup, but also in the environment outside the school. Inquiry-based learning boosts creativity and bolster independent thinking among students. Inquiry-based learning also cultivates curiosity, develop a skill to question, open up minds, and help understand concepts in a unique way by each and every learner, because all learners are unique in their own fashion. Inquiry-based learning enhances the learning experience and foster independent problem-solving capabilities in their strengths, which each and every teacher want to develop among their learners. Inquiry-based learning may be easier for teachers because it allows transfer of some responsibility to students also. This transfer of responsibility gives students more authority and increases their engagement in the process of teaching and learning. So, teacher must use inquiry-based learning approaches in their teaching learning situation in the classrooms. Some important ways of inquiry-based learning which teachers may use in a classroom and a school setup. We are going to discuss about that. So first of all, talk about the first model, that is structured inquiry, first type of inquiry, the structured inquiry. As the name suggests, the inquiry which is totally structured in fashion, basically. So what type of question teacher is going to ask, and where you have to sell away your learners in the classroom, very well. So it is totally structured. The teacher poses a question pertinent to the subject and allows the students to find their own individual answers. The question asked may not have a single answer and may change depending on the growing level of understanding that is gradually achieved through subsequent findings. The teacher is responsible for steering the topic in the direction he deems adequate. So this was a structured inquiry. Now come to the controlled inquiry. Controlled inquiry, as opposed to guided inquiry, involves vital questions that are given to the students to make their own findings. The reason this method is termed as controlled is because the teacher limits the resources used by the students for fact finding. The questions are structured to provide a proper framework through which the students will gain a concrete understanding of the subject matter. The research materials are also carefully selected to provide sufficient and relevant information for this. Come to the third one, which is guided inquiry. In guided inquiry-based learning, questions relevant to the topic are provided by the teacher. The students are then free to approach the questions from any angle and make use of whatever materials they find useful in answering the question. So students are free to go in whatever way they want to go. Teacher is just only guiding the students in this inquiry process. They then demonstrate their understanding. That is, students then demonstrate their understanding after they have already completed their inquiry process. After this, they demonstrate their understanding of the topic in whichever way they wish after they have reached a valid conclusion. Now, the fourth one is free inquiry. It is sometimes also called as open inquiry. As the name suggests, it is basically open for the learners, and the learners have ample opportunity to go in whatever they want to go. This is the most flexible and adaptive form of inquiry-based learning. The method involves joint interaction and cooperation between the students and the teacher in forming essential questions relating to the topic, finding the most suitable materials that will provide valid responses, and coming up with ways through which the students may effectively convey their understanding of the topic. This method has been widely embraced as the most practical method of inquiry-based learning and the most involving tool on the part of the learners. Now, the fifth one is creativity crafting. This basically title itself suggesting that this model helps learners enhance their creativity. This is a method similar to the free inquiry-based learning model, except it does not involve the use of questions. The method allows students to organize information on their most exciting topic, gain a concrete understanding of the concepts, behind them and present their findings in the way they see fit. That's why this gives an opportunity to show creativity on the part of the learners. The students are required to use their own words to express what they have learned and the impact of the topic in their livelihoods. Last one is project sharing. The students can learn from each other through project sharing system. This extends the teaching experience to the students who are able to share their findings, opinions, and perspectives on various subjects through individual or group projects and presentations. This technique is effective in improving self-confidence and enhancing the students' relations. So friends, today in this lecture we have covered four important themes. One is curiosity, the other one was interest, the third is was inquiry based learning, and last basically active engagement of learners. All these are very important. As far as I think, the first three, that is curiosity, interest, and inquiry, are the heart and soul of the teaching learning process. It is the heart and soul of the learning by the learners. If students are curious, if students are interested to learn, and if students are having the approach of inquiry, they will automatically actively engage in the process of learning, and they will learn a lot in the process of learning. So teachers focus should be to develop, to raise the level of interest, level of curiosity, and level of inquiry among the learners. And using all these three, the teachers may actively engage the learners in the classroom teaching process, so that they can learn on their best level, and they can achieve the learning outcomes set out for the classroom and for the curriculum. I hope the entire lecture must have been understood by all of you. With this, I thank you all and wish you to see in the next presentation. Thank you so much.
I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Jasim Ahmed for this thorough discussion. And these are the references which are cited in this video wherever they are required. Thank you so much.